What's up, Drop Pod listeners? As always, you can listen to the Drop Podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and Google Pods. We are now on Amazon Music, Audible, and Pandora as well. New podcasts drop every Wednesday. You can also find all of our content on YouTube at the Drop Golf Podcast and on our socials. That's Instagram and Twitter at the Drop_pod. No matter how you consume us, like, subscribe, rate, review, all that good stuff. Follow and listen along.
This episode is sponsored by the Law Office of Mallon and Tranger. Tom Mallon and Randy Tranger are board-certified trial attorneys who share more than 40 years of legal experience. They specialize in personal injury matters, workers' compensation cases, and criminal and municipal defense. As certified trial attorneys, they have recovered millions of dollars on behalf of people injured in accidents and employees injured at work. They have offices conveniently located in Freehold and Point Pleasant. For skilled and personalized legal representation, call Mallon and Tranger at 732-780-0230 or check out their website at tmallonlaw.com. Not only are they good people, they're good golfers too. And one quick thing to put the cherry on the cake here is that the right saying? Cherry on the cake? This is the Drop Podcast where we talk golfing in the Garden State. I'm Mike Poro, and this is Ryan Coulott.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back for another great week. We got a really cool show for you this week, but before we get started, we have some breaking news. For the first time ever, we have limited edition The Drop Podcast polos live and ready for purchase. You can pre-order at flukeapparelco.com and choose from any of the 3 designs listed on their website. With each polo purchase, we are donating $5 to the Jersey Shore First Tee program. Go order a great polo for an even better cause. You don't want to miss this exclusive offer. It's not going to last forever. Now, make sure you stick around and listen to this week's guest, Senior Director of LPGA Properties, Scott Wood. We had a chance to meet Scott at the Founders Cup Media Day a few weeks ago, and he was nice enough to take some time out of his extremely busy schedule to meet with us, chat with us for a little while. It was awesome getting to know him a little bit better. The Founders Cup is an LPGA Tour event dedicated to the 13 founders of the LPGA Tour, and it's being played this week at Upper Montclair Country Club. So make sure you stick around for Scott and tune in this week to the Founders Cup on Golf Channel. All right, Mike. Let's start there. Let's start with the Media Day stuff. We'll kind of roll right in. I think that's a good transition there. I mean, I can do more so talking about what the Media Day was like, but you're our behind the scenes guy. How did Media Day? How did our invitation to this Media Day come about? It's our first one. You know, we're small, but tell us how it happened.
Yeah, I think it's just like a lot of things that you just get connected with the right people. Invitations start to be like, hey, if you're available, we'd love to have you guys out here. We love what you're doing. You know, the growth that you guys have had is been amazing. So one thing led to another, and the dates worked out perfect for us. So we went up there, and like you and I were talking about going up there, we had no clue what we were walking into. Like, we didn't know, what did we need to bring anything? Were we going to have the opportunity to ask some questions? So we got connected with the right people, and thank you to Kim Brem and thank you to Julie Peluso, because they were, 2 people behind the scenes that kind of spearheaded us to this event. And I think once we got to the event, more doors started to open. We met this person, we met that person, we exchanged phone numbers. And I know we had been teasing a little bit, maybe a week or 2 ago, that big things were happening. And this was one of them. Being invited to a LPGA Media Day right here in New Jersey, is a huge step for us in the right direction, because like we've been saying way back since October 12th when we launched this puppy, is we're trying to bring light to all things golf in the Garden State. And it's not just playing golf, it's also talking golf, but it's also experiencing all things golf. So this just was another avenue that we were able to go down to see what it's like, to see another phenomenal golf course. And you saw the setup being put together there. I think Upper Montclair is a perfect golf course for the LPGA Tour to go out there and to see, to play. So if you have time tomorrow or this weekend for Mother's Day, like, that is a great spot to go walk around, see, visit, experience. It's probably a must for anybody that has the time.
Yeah, I mean, we had talked about, with Brad Tilley, we talked about Mountain Ridge, and for me, that was the first time I ever heard about Mountain Ridge. So that's kind of where, we didn't want to give anything away, but that's kind of where we were going with that. And we got to see Upper Montclair. Upper Montclair was absolutely stunning. I think it was your first time up there as well. It was definitely mine. And it was, I mean, what a setup. They got 27 holes there, so you got space to host a tournament. They play the same 18. You know how, like, when the PGA goes to Ridgewood, they play different holes from each of the three. They kind of have it set up there. They're not doing that. They're playing like 9 and 9, but they are rearranging some of the holes. And then the other 9, you got room for stuff, for tents, experiences. You got to make room, obviously, for the players, for the driving range and stuff. So in an area that is so compact with people on Route 3 there, just outside the city, to be able to have that location with the possibility of having all of those people there, but also having the room to host an event like this, they got a dynamite place. And it was really cool for us experiencing that. Experiencing what a media day is like, the announcements, the cameras, this, that, and the other. I thought it was a really cool experience. And as you said, we've been so fortunate to be connected with so many great people, and then to connect with so many other great people there. It was really a terrific experience. I look forward to doing more of those, because it was really cool and really exciting to be a part of.
Yeah, I mean, and the people that we got to meet while we're there were amazingly, again, welcoming in so many respects. I know we've said it often, but even, more or less random people to us that we've never met, that were open arms, connecting and saying, listen, we'd love to do some things together with you guys. So the whole experience in a nutshell was just like, overwhelming. And then the idea that you and I got to go experience the golf course afterwards and go play 18 holes was another huge plus. We were fortunate to have a caddy out there with us who was showing us the ropes. We met 2 phenomenal guys along the way. So it was just like, all in all, like, you left there saying, like, they did it right. And I think that's one of the things that you'll hear when we speak to Scott about the whole Cognizant experience at Upper Montclair and how, his team puts together this event. It was definitely first class and definitely top notch.
No doubt there. No doubt. Yeah, so it was a great day overall, and make sure you go check it out. It's a professional golf tournament that's being held in New Jersey. That's kind of right up our alley. That's the top of what we're looking to do, golfing in the Garden State. So go check it out. It's on the Golf Channel Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And while it's not a major, it is a real big part of the LPGA Tour. A tournament dedicated to their 13 founders. So make sure you check it out.
And just one more thing to put icing on the cake here. Kudos to Cognizant, kudos to Upper Montclair, and kudos to Scott Wood for using one of their 2 sponsors exemptions and inviting Katie Lou. Katie Lou is a Division I golfer from here at home in New Jersey. She plays up at Michigan State. She has aspirations to get on the LPGA Tour when college is over. And she'll be able to go out there and experience firsthand an LPGA tournament to see what it's like in front of her friends, family, at home. So kudos to them to finding someone at home, being afforded this opportunity to kind of experience that. So that was one thing I did want to harp on, that most of the times you hear sponsors exemptions, they go to big name people that may bring in more, outside, national type presence. But they stuck to the roots here in New Jersey, and I give them a lot of credit for doing that.
For sure, Mike. And Katie, if you're listening to this, you're certainly welcome to come on the podcast anytime and talk a little golfing in the Garden State.
All County Exteriors is a third-generation premier exterior home remodeling company celebrating over 40 years in business. In a remodeling world where the average remodeling company only survives in business for only 5 years, All County Exteriors has stood the test of time, providing their customers with top quality roofing, siding, windows, and doors. They service homeowners and builders with anything from small repairs to large additions. All County Exteriors is not just limited to construction. They have a deep passion for giving back to their community and are charitable supporters of the Make-A-Wish Foundation, the American Cancer Society, Roofs for Troops, and Parents of Autistic Children. If you have planned to do any exterior remodeling, call the experts at All County Exteriors for a free, no-obligation estimate for your project. Just call 732-370-2780 or email them at info@allcountyonline.com. That's 732-370-2780 for All County Exteriors for all your remodeling needs.
All right, so let's move on to something that hits a little bit more home for us, the New Jersey 4-ball. We talked to, last couple weeks, we talked to Pat Wilson and we talked to Brad Tilley. They're playing in the USGA 4-ball, but as we said last week with Brad, Mike and his partner Austin Devereaux played or tried to qualify for the New Jersey 4-ball, and they did it. So Mike, first, congratulations. I was following along. I put out I know you were busy. Normally our social media guy, but I tried to put some things out there so people could follow. So first, congrats, you and Austin. Great job. Tell us about the experience. What's next for you? All things NJ 4-ball qualifier here. What do you got?
Yeah, I mean, listen, it was a tough day, and anybody that was out there, and I know I spoke to a few other, people that follow the podcast, that listen to the podcast. We were DMing back and forth talking about the conditions because it was two different waves, it sounded like. The morning shift or the morning crowd that got out put up some numbers. I mean, kudos to the guys that went 8 under in the morning round. Another group went 5 under. Another group went 4 under. So clearly in the morning, it was a completely different golf course and weather-wise than what Austin and I saw, being the last tee time of the day. Because by the time we got out there, it was freezing, it was raining, it was windy. It felt like a completely different golf course than what the, officials were talking about in the morning. It was 1 minute the umbrella was out, the wool hat was on. The next minute you thought the sun was going to peek out, and 2 seconds later now it's raining. So the conditions were extremely difficult, and I can't lie, the pin locations on some holes were very, very hard. Some people even would DM me and ask, do you think they were, a little unfair to some extent? And they were tough. I can't lie. There was a couple times that, if you had, a 3-footer or slider, that thing could roll another 10 feet by if you just missed it. So I couldn't say it was unfair because you'd like to think that's not the case, but they were definitely some question marks out there, nonetheless, with the conditions of the day. But my partner played very well, all things considered. I don't think it was a lights out day for him. And playing second fiddle is a nice thing to be. It's at times I can go out there and just play my golf ball and contribute here and there when I could. And I didn't think I hit the ball poorly, but I putted horrifically. But I did just enough that when he needed me, I came through.
Yeah, I know that was something you were talking about, hey, I can just go play golf because Austin is that good that you can just kind of ride the coattails. And I know you were modestly saying, I hope that you can contribute 1 or 2 holes. And from what we talked about, it sounded like you did more than that. It seemed like you made that par to allow him to, attack a birdie putt, maybe a little more aggressively, knowing you're in for 4 and this is kind of like a bonus or, those kind of things. So I think that's the ham and egg that you need. So what was your score there? How did that work out for you?
Yeah, so there was a few times where, it was funny because I want to say it was maybe it was the 16th hole there. I hit a good drive down the middle, and he had hooked it left into the trees. And he had said to me, he's like, "Oh, I got a shot, so don't worry about it. Just hit a good one." So I'm not, me knowing that he's a very good player, he's saying that takes a little bit of pressure on me that I can just, again, freewheel it. So I hit a very good shot for me. I hit it about 15 feet just below the pin. And after I hit it, he says, I didn't want to tell you, but I have no shot over here, so I didn't want to put any pressure on you, so I got nothing. So it was comforting that he didn't say that ahead of time to put more pressure on me because, in that situation, he ended up making a bogey and I made a par, so it helped. But, I think I finished with like 77-ish in that ballpark, 70, somewhere like that. I think it was just a solid ball striking day. I didn't make any birdies. I didn't make any putts. I think Austin made 2 birdies and we made 1 bogey as a team to finish 1 under par. And I think like anybody knows in all qualifying events, the goal is just to get in, because once you get in, everything resets and that's ultimately the goal. So we were fortunate to do that. And, now we get to go play at Hamilton Farm, and it's funny because we know, and we've had a few guests on from Hamilton Farm specifically. You want to talk about all the way back to Nick Bova early on. We had Mark Costanza on. Just recently we had Pat Wilson. So you got a lot of Hamilton Farm connections out there. So you'd like to see what happens with the big boys, So we get to go out there on May 16th and kind of see how it goes. And if I can contribute a little more than I did last time, who knows? Maybe we can get into match play.
Sounds like it'll only be better with conditions because, as you said, you got the wool hat on, you got the rain gear on, you got then you got the rain gear off, and you're just kind of tough to get in any kind of rhythm when you're having trouble getting the rhythm of taking various layers of rain gear on and off is not the rhythm you want on a golf day.
No, and thankfully, I'd like to say, and one of the things I was talking with Austin when we were walking that day is one of my strengths is driving the golf ball. Now, I'll be the first one to admit it. I don't drive it the way or as far as these guys do. But I'd like to think that I'm 245 in the air, maybe 265 with rollout consistently in the fairway. So in tough conditions like that, when you're not worrying about thick, wet rough and the ball's in the fairway, it gives me, someone like myself, a little more opportunities to help out, more or less. Whereas these guys hit the ball so far. Because I can give you another example. On a par 3, it was playing 208 up the hill. The wind was coming in our face and the rain was coming down. And Austin and I, we decided that I would always tee off first. He's the better golfer. Put the pressure on him in case I mess up. That on this par 3, he's asking me, what are you going to hit? And I'm saying, I got to hit 3-wood, dude. I'm thinking it's got to be 225, 230 up the hill. All things considered. And I hit 3-wood, and I put it right up there on a fringe. And these guys are banging 5-irons. So it was again, a different world for someone like me who even thinks that I can play a little bit. But then when you start to play in these events,
You can play more than a little bit. I know that you like to say you bunted around, but with your index and you're a constant 70s golfer. You're a good golfer. Right.
And to our audience and maybe to some other people, that's solid. But when you start stepping up to the next level
into that realm, I get
right,
that.
That's where you kind of, someone like me needs to be, you get humbled because you go from thinking, like you said, you can really slap it around to then it's okay, these guys golf and you're just grinding sometimes. And there's times where I'm grinding over a 7-footer for par, whereas these guys are tapping in for par. And that's sometimes the difference in that next level. And I think when Brad talked about that a lot too, is the grinding aspect of things is a lot different for someone at his level than mine. And I think, being in that environment, the juices get flowing. I was nervous on the first tee. I'm the first one to go off in the group. And when you hit a good shot, then it's all right, dude, you can do it a little bit. So all in all, listen, good day. I'm excited to get out there and, it's nice. I saw in our group and our foursome where Perry Corey Brigham, episode 3's guest way back when, and his partner. So that'll be fun to go tee it up with him and kind of see what it's like out there.
Is he our first guest, Mike? I think Corey was our first guest.
He was our first ever guest. So, he DM'd me and said did you see the foursome? Did you see our group for the tournament? I said, I did. I said, I'm excited to get going. I said, hopefully I don't embarrass myself with you guys. So it's funny because you see a lot of the names in there and they're man, it's just exciting just having that opportunity to go play with them. And, having a great partner is a great, just, relaxer to the whole thing.
Yeah. Again, we just invited Katie Lou on. Corey for 200, please. I'll take Corey for 200. Are you coming on again? After, before, whichever day you want. Let's make it happen. But that's really cool. So that's coming up next week.
May 16th is the opening, is the first day. Is the stroke play.
Is the stroke play. So we'll have a recap for you after it's all done. But we'll kind of, talk about it here. Get ready next week for Mike, and then the week after. So episode 33, we'll have some stuff for you on how Mike did. But follow along. Like I said, we'll be putting stuff out on our socials, Instagram at @thedrop_pod, and we'll do our best to follow along with how Mike's doing. Mike, maybe we can live stream it, right? How about that? How about you? We'll get somebody out there, just to whoever your caddy. That's who it is. Your caddy will live stream the event, and that'll force you to do a little more work on the club selection. But I think that's what we do. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, we should get the AirPods, and we can have a little call-in section. We can have our own little CBS telecast as we're going, and you can kind of talk to me as we're going, and I can explain what we're doing.
That would be tremendous, actually. That would be incredible. All right. Well, Mike, best of luck to you in Austin. If I'm sure that won't be the last time I say it to you guys. But knowing Austin, a little bit, he's a great kid. Obviously, I think pretty decently of you. So hope you guys do well.
Matara's Italian Market and Catering Company is located in the heart of Rutherford, New Jersey at 72 Park Avenue and has everything you need for an authentic Italian table. Recently celebrating its 10-year anniversary, Matara's Italian Market brings all your senses alive as you walk in the door. Imported retail products, cheeses and cold cuts, freshly baked bread, and the creamiest fresh mozzarella. All can be ordered on the Matara's On Park app and Apple and Google stores. Above the market, a private space called The Loft can be reserved for intimate family parties all the way to corporate events. So give them a follow on Instagram at Matara's Italian Market. Stop by and say ciao. Matara's. You walk in a stranger, leave as family.
One of the things that when we were at Media Day, they asked Katie Lou a question, and it's something that I think is an obvious one that we haven't talked about between you and I, Mike. And that is, who's your dream foursome? Now, this question is a little bit loaded. Dream foursome, as you're picking 4 golfers to create a fivesome that you're going to play with. Or 3 golfers who you're going to be their 4th.
I think it's got to be I'm the 4th golfer, because if I'm playing in a foursome, that's the whole idea. Is I want to be playing with these other 3 to make it 4.
Gotcha. All right. Well, I know one of them's Tiger.
Yeah, I mean, so I had a gut feeling that this was going to come up because of at Media Day, you and I spoke highly, like, wow, that's a great question.
That was a great, it was such a good question.
Yeah, and when Scott asked Katie Lou that question, she had no hesitation in answering hers. And we both look at each other like, wow, that's a great question to ask. And I had a gut feeling when we circled back it might come to this. So I kind of been thinking about it a little bit. I have. And I think the obvious for a lot of us that are in this, 30 to 40-year-old range, and I like to stay in that 30 to 40, even though I'm sniffing the high end there, but is the obvious is Tiger Woods. So Tiger is clear as day would be one of the guys that I would put in my foursome along with myself. And then the other 2 guys I had to kind of think more heavily about, like, where would I go? Do I want to go old school? Is there a woman on the LPGA Tour that kind of stands out?
You want to make your foursome, like, you don't just, you're picking a team, right? Who's going to have the most fun? Like, sure, you could have one of, like, Tiger, Jack, and Arnie, but it might not be the most fun. They might not get along, or, like, so you try to mix, you're 100% right. You're trying to mix, get a mixture there.
So to me, it's kind of like, where can I find the best group of 3 other golfers that could give me the best stories, because I know I'm a question asker. I can ask people a gazillion questions and talk to them forever that they're finally like, dude, is this guy ever going to stop? So I just assume Tiger's experiences alone would just be hands down number 1. Okay.
I hope we don't have the same foursome, by the way.
Number two for me was Michelle Wee. I thought getting someone like her on, being a prodigy from such a young age, dominating the girl scene, then moving into playing some PGA Tour events as a woman was like, wow, big deal. And then her going on to win many, many tournaments on the LPGA Tour, I thought would be a very, very good one to have on there. Nonetheless, with her tournament now coming to New Jersey, it was like, all right, those are 2 like big time names, I thought, right there. And then my third option was a little more old school, was Arnold Palmer. I thought Arnold Palmer and I felt like he was always a guy, when you look back and you watch the old videos, his fiery, his helicopter finish, his demeanor, like he had that like personality that everybody loved and admired, but also feared at the same time. And I felt like those 3, I would just be walking the fairways, not even caring if I shot 70 or 170, because the stories I could get from the 3 of them would range in so many different ways that for me, it was Tiger, it was Michelle, and it was Arnie. Those are my 3.
We don't have the same one, so that's good. So Katie answered it, and I'm going to answer it the same way. She put 4 people as like a dream foursome. So you're playing, in theory, you'd be playing as a fivesome. And I don't know who I'd get rid of on this list. But I've mentioned how much I love Jordan Spieth. And I think if you have Spieth, you have JT as well. Like that's like 1 and 1A. You know, you go to the racetrack, you bet the horses, and there's a 1 and there's a 1A, so you bet 1 and you get both of them. That's what this is. And then also you throw in Tiger, and I think that's a quick and easy 1, 2, 3 right there. But I didn't think about it being a foursome with me playing. I thought about like the foursome that I'd be playing with. So I put 4 golfers, and then obviously the other one I think is Rory. I think those 4 are just like, think about that group playing golf together.
They did at the match.
I know, which is why I love the match so much, because I think that those guys have been my. I love all those guys. Those are my top guys. I did think, however, I think the stories, I think the golf, I think that would be fun in its own right, but I also think that playing in a group with like guys to hang out with, you know what I mean? So like that's a serious golf group there. Not saying that another group wouldn't be serious, but then I had another like slash, and I had Joel Damon, who we talked about. I think me and Joel could have tons of fun. And Joel, again, when you're listening to this, make sure you DM me. I think he'd have so much fun. I think him and Max Homa would be a lot of fun together. And then I did go to an LPGA Tour player, and I think Danielle Kang would be an awesome hang on the golf course. She seems like she's able to fit right into wherever she goes. You know, she's got that personality where she can not even be a chameleon, because she can always be herself, but she fits into every group. And I think that would be a lot of fun with that foursome there.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think even when the audience hears this and they start thinking like, oh, what's my dream foursome? It's hard to say that one is better than the other. It's really the type of experience you're looking to have. Are you looking, like you just said, like your 2 groups right there, I think are completely different.
Oh, vastly, yeah.
Right, so if you're looking for the more social scene, like Joel Damon and that crowd, no doubt. Like that's kind of where you're going. If you're looking for, those are drinks
flowing, music's blasting.
Yeah, Link's drinks all day long.
May
Link's
or may not wear. Yeah,
you have Link's drinks popping left and right in there.
Oh my God, yeah. May or may not be wearing shoes. Like that's a foursome that's that's enjoying the day on the golf course.
Yeah.
Enjoying the fun social part of golf.
Yeah, no doubt. And that's kind of, the more I thought about it, because I actually thought about it a lot today, just like driving home, I was like, you know what, for me, I can be so much of a traditionalist sometimes and so much by the book in terms of how I do things. Like that group, listening to what they all have experienced, and I think it's a little similar in some respects of where they grew up and how they came along to the game. Like I couldn't swap somebody out for somebody else. I thought about recency bias too. Like a guy that interests me a lot that I would love to pick his brain is John Rahm. Like to me, that dude is like the way he's come on like a bat out of hell. Like love that. I love how he gets angry because I can get angry at times on the golf course too. Like there was a lot of similarities I saw with him.
Yep.
But for me, it was kind of like those three, Tiger, Arnie, and Michelle Wie, I felt like revolutionized the game in different eras in a way that I don't think other people have, and just have made an impact on so many people. Like just picking their brains is something I'd be all about.
100%. And I specifically avoided older golfers because, again, if I'm thinking about playing in a group, the Arnold Palmer I know is an old man, and he's not going to be in a group with Joel Damon. Like, I'd love to play golf with Arnold Palmer. I like Arnold more than I like Jack if I'm going like those old school guys. Arnold's my favorite of that generation of golfer. But in thinking about my foursomes, he doesn't fit in what I was trying to get at, which is different than what you were thinking. Like what I'm trying to get out of it is different from what you're trying to get out of it, which is different than somebody else might get out of it.
Yeah, and again, I'd be curious to see what the audience's dream foursome is too, because again, we're all different in terms of what we're all looking for. So. The Transfusion Cocktail is the golf club classic you know and love. For years, golfers have looked forward to this drink at the turn or in the clubhouse. Now, Lynx Drinks has created a brand of ready-to-drink transfusion vodka canned cocktails. The classic is made with vodka, ginger ale, and grape juice. The front 9 with orange juice and the back 9 with cranberry juice. All three are 7% ABV, gluten-free, and are made with natural ingredients and no preservatives. Lynx Drinks Transfusions are sold in foursome packs at over 3,000 locations and available in 16 states. Just grab it and go for a perfect tasting cocktail every time. On the course, the beach, a boat, or a barbecue at home with family and friends. You can now enjoy this golf tradition anywhere. We think it will become your new favorite cocktail on or off the links. So go check them out at lynxdrinks.com or on Instagram at lynxdrinks. So I want to go to a different avenue here. And I know on last week's episode I presented you a question from the audience. And I do want to toss this out there. Like, you can always DM us at @thedrop_pod on Instagram, or you can even email us. We do have an email address, thedropgolfpodcast@gmail.com. And I'm kind of liking this idea where the audience is sending us questions about do we think about this? What do we think about that? What would you do here? What would you do there? So if you have something that you want brought up, by all means, send it our way. Because I got another one this week. And I told the person that I'd present it to you. Because it continued along last week's conversation about the temporary greens. And I don't know if you know where I'm going with this. And I don't know if this person reached out to you too, but I'm going to read this to you, and I want your take back on it. Okay?
I don't want any other information. I just want...
I'm not telling you who it is. I'm not telling you who it is, okay?
Okay.
Okay, so following up on last week's temporary green discussion, if someone gets an eagle because they holed out, does the eagle count? I know it's not the same as a hole-in-one, but a hole out from 150 yards for eagle could be as difficult as a hole-in-one from 150 yards. For a crappy golfer like me who never holes out, I can see why the argument as to why it counts. Follow-up question, if it doesn't count as an eagle, does your interpretation change for the normal crappy golfer who struggles to break 100 when they play?
I think, Mike, I think I was fairly clear on my stance on that. If I'm playing a temporary green, that's what the course says. That's what I'm playing. And I think this hole out for eagle is the same thing. Like that's the course that was set up that day. I'm taking it. This one, I will say, this one's easier than a hole-in-one, though. I don't know why, but it is easier to say yes to this than a hole-in-one.
And I think that's where I get stuck. And I also understand because you and I.
Are you taking this? Is this a yes for you?
Let me finish.
Okay.
So and this is where you and I discussed this last week or the week before, I can't even remember now, about two different types of golfers. Whereas if you're not a very good golfer in this listener's mind, when you do something amazing like that, how are you going to tell me it doesn't count? I never do something like this. And I said back, that's where I completely agree with you, because it's hard for someone who's a traditionalist to say it doesn't count. But there's also, like you were going down, it's two different things. A hole-in-one or a hole out for eagle. The hole out for eagle ball is not going on your pedestal in your living room. It doesn't. The hole-in-one golf ball for a lot of people does. So like if I'm writing that 2 on the scorecard because I hold out, like I can write that because I made that. I can't count a hole-in-one though as my first official hole-in-one. It doesn't mesh with me. And I see that your hand is raised and I get all that, but sometimes as the teacher, you just kind of look away when that person's hand's up and you'll say, I'll get to you in a second. But I can see, as his point states, he goes, I completely agree with you on the temporary green, but I can see how a non-competitive golfer looks at it completely different. So I see what he's saying. If you want to count the hole out, go for it. I get it. If it's a hole-in-one, I can see you writing a 1 down, but saying I made a hole-in-one, I'm in the boat of I can't count that.
That's what I was raising my hand for. I was asking if you're not writing a 1 down on that scorecard.
You're writing a 1 on the card, but I guess I can't go around and say I made my first official hole-in-one, because then when you have to explain the story and you're like, oh, but it was a temporary green. It was 20 yards shorter than it should have been. The pin isn't even on the normal green. Then I have to explain the whole story. And you know how that goes. You're telling the stories to your buddies and it's like, oh, that doesn't count. And it doesn't in my eyes. So yes, I'd write down 1, but no, I'm not actually counting it as my first official hole-in-one if I don't have any.
So I also talked to some other people this week, and one of them is a PGA professional, and they said as long as the yardage doesn't go below the USGA classification for a par 3, the golf club picked a specific yardage, took aim, and hold it. That's an ace. So as long as it's a legal hole, I'm counting it. And I'll tell you what, after Bo's comment, as he was listening and then messaged in, I think that solidified my argument on top of hearing it from the pro about like the legal part of it, like the quote unquote legal part. Like as long as it's a USGA, like the USGA has classifications on what deems a par 3. What deems a par 4. And as long as it fits in those parameters and you took 1 shot to get it in, it only solidified it for me. And that's what the course set up. I feel pretty solid now about being okay with it.
Right. So and then I'll put it out there to the rest of the audience. So like if you do have questions like this that you want us to debate, throw them in the DMs, email them, whatever works for you. By all means, we're open to discussing these because it's fun. It has some engagement from the audience perspective that you guys can reach out to us and say, what do you guys think about this or that? And we can discuss it a little bit. And you may agree or disagree, but we'll give you our 2 cents. That's no doubt about that.
Yeah. It didn't sway you at all, though.
No.
No? Okay.
So I got another.
That listener was Bo Olson, listening in Ohio. Thanks for listening to the drop in New Jersey, Bo.
Ohio. There we go. We're stretching our boundaries here.
Yeah, we are.
So I know in the past we also have been teasing a lot of things, and I know I mentioned this at the top. We teased a little bit about, big things were happening, and I know sometimes when people see that type of stuff, they're like, "All right, is this just like a clickbait type thing, or is there really big things happening?" And I kind of alluded, like I mentioned at the top. LPGA Media Day for us was big things. And I know we didn't want to discuss it right after we went because, we knew we were getting Scott Wood on, and that's going to follow today. But I know the other big thing that I want to kind of announce here that you'll see a lot on social media that's going to get blasted out this week is our first ever drop podcast polo. It'll be up on the website on flukeapparelco.com. That's who we are partners with and coming up with some great gear. There's 3 different color schemes with our logo right there on the left chest. You got Fluke Apparel's company, their logo is on the left sleeve. It's been a lot of work behind the scenes, but after putting out that poll last week and seeing the interest from a lot of people that said they would be, interested in buying one. People have reached out, said, when are you getting some merch out there? When are you getting some gear? And for as active as we plan on being this spring and through the summer and into the fall, what better than to rock our gear with Fluke and how they've been very supportive of us and things that we're doing. So you got to keep an eye on this, because the way this is going to work is it's going to all be pre-ordered. We're going to make sure that we can prove that we can get people that are interested in buying the merch before it's all the inventory is purchased to kind of prove a point a little bit here. And then it'll be shipped out in 4 to 6 weeks. So it'll be here right in time for the summer, so everybody can be rocking that when they're out there. I think all 3 designs that you'll see are fresh. They're exciting. And I think the color schemes that Chris and his team over at Fluke Apparel Company did, I think they came out really, really well. So I also want to throw this in there. I know that people said, well, what are the prices going to be? The price per polo is going to be $65. And I don't think that's anything to the extreme of what you may see at Peter Millar, or Johnny O, or Grayson, because we want to get these out there. And like I've said from, maybe 3, 4, 5 weeks ago now at this point, the quality of the shirt is phenomenal. I'm very picky. I can admit it myself that when I got the shirt, I was a little uncertain, but I back it. I support it. It's great. It's great quality. So you got to see it for yourself. And I think what people need to understand too is with the $65 polo, we're donating $5 of every single polo to the First Tee program. So to us, it's a little give back to people that have kind of steered us in a positive direction. It's a little give back on Chris's end as well with Fluke Apparel Company. So, I do want to throw that out there, that when you start seeing this, make sure you jump on that right away. You don't want to be someone that misses this opportunity, then DMs me about a week or 2 later and says, is there any available left? What's going on? Because we want to make sure that we can see if we can roll these out as quick as possible, because the quicker everybody signs up and the quicker everybody pre-registers and pre-orders, the quicker that product will be out in your mailbox before you know it. So again, click on the link, flukeapparelcompany.com. Get your orders in. You do not want to miss this. So it's gonna be open. I mean, it's gonna be open until we can roll them out. If the idea is we want to get 75 polos out, I think from the interest that we've gathered from on Chris's end, from our end, from Kim's end in the First Tee program, family and friends, I think we can get 75 out. That's the goal. So if we can't get 75 out, then I don't know if we're going to be able to push this through. But from the interest that we've gathered, it's out there. It's there. It's up to us now to promote it. It's up to our audience to help, follow through with what they said and see if we can do this. Because why not get this out there and have everybody rock some of our gear. So make sure you guys head over to flukeapparelco.com. You can pre-order right there on the website. It'll be up there, ready to rock and roll. You'll have your choice of 3 different designs with our logo listed right there and showed right there on the left chest. And you should probably get it sometime between 4 to 6 weeks. So again, let's get those orders in. Ryan and I greatly appreciate that.
All right, guys, so that's going to be all for this week. We got Scott Wood coming up, who's going to talk about the LPGA Tour event at Upper Montclair called the Founders Cup. Enjoy the interview.
Looking to take your golf game to the next level? Tired of the same old driving range routine? Tee to Green Indoor Golf Center in West Long Branch is here to revolutionize your golfing experience.
That's right, Mike. Tee to Green is not your average driving range. It's an indoor golf learning center, unmatched in its offerings in Monmouth County. It's a literal golfer's paradise, offering an extraordinary experience you won't find anywhere else. And guess what? We've got a special offer for you.
With this offer, you can become a member of Tee to Green Indoor Golf Center for only $99 for the first month. Want to join the Tee to Green revolution? Head over to their website at www.teetogreen.com and sign up using the promo code DROP.
With your membership, you'll get 3 hours of TrackMan simulator time. TrackMan's cutting-edge technology, precision, and ability to provide instant feedback makes it the best simulator for golfers looking to improve their game. Plus, it features over 200 world-class golf courses to play.
And that's not all. Your membership also includes unlimited use of their massive putting and chipping green and Sand Putt Lab. And here's another perk. As a member, you'll receive an exclusive 10% off in their pro shop, featuring all the top golf brands in the business.
Tee to Green also has a team of golf professionals ready to help you take your game to the next level. Whether you're a beginner or a seasoned player, their experts will provide personalized lessons to enhance your skills and elevate your performance. Ready to join the Tee to Green revolution? Head over to their website at t2green.com and sign up with the promo code DROP or call 732-876-4609. Don't miss out on this exclusive offer.
Okay, so today's guest is a special one here. We were fortunate to be invited to be part of the Cognizant Founders Cup Media Day, and today's guest is Senior Director of LPGA Properties and the 2019 Act Like a Founder Award recipient, Scott Wood. Scott, thanks so much for coming on the show today.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys, for having me on. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, we're excited to have you, Scott.
Yeah, this is a new one for us. Is in terms of having interviews, we've kind of stayed in the golf realm of the golfer. So getting someone like yourself on the show to talk a little bit about the setup, the directing aspect of it, the marketing aspect of it, the media side of it, and more or less putting a big time tournament together. Why don't you give the audience a little bit of a background about you, your job, the traveling it entails, I guess the whole nine.
I got into experiential and events, sports, marketing back in 2001, and I did 4 years in NASCAR, and I wasn't a fan of fast cars going left, but I became a fan of big events, and really putting on a really, really fun show for the fans, and it just gets in your blood. I was traveling 300 days a year. And really it just became part of me, right? It became what I wanted to do. I couldn't go sit in an office for 8-9 hours a day and sit in a cubicle. So I've been doing that, man. I cut my teeth in the agency world. I worked for a couple of agencies along the way. And my last stint at an agency, I had a automotive client that was the official automotive partner of the LPGA. So I got to know the crew out here on tour, and when a spot opened up in Phoenix, and it was kind of a good fit for both of us. So I jumped at the chance in 2015, joined the LPGA Tour, and really haven't looked back. And I always told my wife, I said, if I can't play professional golf, I'd like to run a professional golf tournament. So here we are. I honestly, I wake up every day. I love what I do. It's a lot of fun to be able to do this, and the travel is just part of the job. But at the end of the day, it's I kind of, my office is a golf course most of the time. So I feel fortunate. I feel lucky.
I'm blown away because you said you started in 2001, which is 22 years ago, but you don't look like you should be that old. So you're doing something right. Being on the golf course on the regular has got to be you got to be doing something right. So good for you.
I can't say I credit my dad because he's as bald as could be, and he was bald at early 40s. But I think it's definitely the gray is creeping in a little bit. But no, it's there's a lot of days that are not really that stressful. So I get to play some golf here and there, but I appreciate it. Thank you.
So I want to talk about that as you brought it up. What does a normal day entail for you, or are they so different that's kind of like the neatness of the job? What is kind of like a day to day for you?
Yeah, I kind of break it down into quarters, right? I mean, the first quarter is once we're like, okay, we're 12 months out from an event. Like I kind of look at it, we get the planning back together. We go back and we look and see what we did right the first time, the last time we did a tour event. And really we start to put the plan together. We tweak the plan that we had before. And, we say, okay, how can we get better, right? How can we make the player experience better? How can we make the fan experience better? How can we make the sponsor experience better? So really, we just kind of get with the team and we start to really kind of brainstorm a lot of ideas. We always say, in those brainstorm sessions, there's never a bad idea, right? Put it on the whiteboard and let's see what sticks. So that's kind of the first quarter. That's the first, 2 or 3 months of, when we're 12 months out from an event. And then you get to the second quarter and you really start to dial in your vendors, really start to dial in what's your bill going to look like? How do we want to go bigger for hospitality? How do we want to engage fans more with, I like to be able to put golf clubs in our fans' hands, and that's what they want to do, right? They want to come out and they want to see Nelly Cordo, Lexi Thompson, Brooke Henderson, but it'd be great if I could swing a golf club, if I could hit a putt or do something else that's engaging on site. So really we start to really dial in what that fan engagement looks like. And then when we hit the third quarter, man, it's off and running, and we're full speed ahead. We're working with the host sites. We're really just kind of make sure that the golf course is set up properly. We're working with our rules and competition team. We start to really kind of dial in what we're going to do. Did we play it too? How was our yardage last year? Do we need to go back some? Do we need to make par threes a little bit longer? How can we have that drivable par four hole to kind of add a little bit more excitement, right? So you're kind of really working through all that. And then by the time we get to the fourth quarter, it's I think when we saw each other a couple of days ago, you can see, man, it's you're up before dawn and you're working till the sun goes down a little bit later. But it just, you start to put all the puzzle pieces together, and your checklist is I can't even tell you how many Excel files that I have open on my computer and all the checklists that we're going through. And did we get the uniforms in? Did we get everything else in? And it's just go time. So right now we're in the thick of it. We're up early. We're up late, but just going through our checklist and making sure that we don't let anything drop, because at the end of the day, I like to look at it. We're party planners, and we want to make sure that everybody that supports us comes out, supports our players, supports the tour, and goes out and and tells our story for us. We want to make sure that they get bang for their buck, right? They get their money's worth when they come on site. So that's where we are right now. We're just fine tuning everything.
The production, Mike and I saw just a small fraction of it, but the production that you must go through in, as you said, a calendar year, it's just got to be you must be the most organized person in America. It's because if one thing's out of place, that snowball effect is just going to ripple.
Yeah, you've got to definitely make sure I've learned over my 20 plus years in this business, you got to be able to look ahead and see where you think you're going to where your challenges are going to come, right? Like how do you stay 1 to 2 steps ahead of everything that you're doing, right? And so you got the best shuttle plan that you could have to get fans on site within 10 to 15 minutes, and then all of a sudden there's an accident. Okay, well, what do we do? How do we get people, how do we make sure the shuttle buses are still circulating? So we're problem solvers. I mean, that's really what it is at the end of the day. We're party planners and problem solvers. And really it takes a big team. It takes a lot of people that are dedicated, that have a passion for this type of business. We're cut from a different cloth sometimes.
It did. And Mike and I saw that the other day with that production. We got to play the course in like an outing form, and that was the course is in incredible shape, and I can't wait to see it in a when the tournament goes off. But how's your game?
Game's a little rusty right now. I don't get a chance to hit it as often as I want to right now. So I wouldn't say I kept an accurate score, but we were probably approaching 90 on Monday,
okay.
Tuesday. So
with your job and with all the stuff that's going on, like an event like that, you get to play golf. But I can't imagine that you're focused on golf. So you're being pulled in all these other directions. I know me. All of a sudden, like a leaf blows in my way, and it was like Vietnam all of a sudden. So I can't imagine with what you're doing with, being on the phone, talking to people, all those people you had to talk to and be in front of the cameras for and all that. It's pretty impressive to be able to handle all that and still play some pretty decent golf. So
I appreciate it. Yeah, it was a fun round. I got to play with some really good guys that have been supporting us since day one when we got to New Jersey. When we brought the Founders Cup to New Jersey and we signed Cognizant as a title partner. And yeah, I mean, I wasn't fully dialed in on the golf game, right? I was just more enjoying the afternoon. It was a beautiful day. We had a great turnout for media day. So it was just a good way for us to kind of talk about, as we went around the golf course, I was able to share some little nuggets with the media that I got to play with about what we're doing, what we're trying new, what's really worked for us in the past, like, how we think, fans are going to be able to react for what we're putting together for them. So all in all, it was just a huge successful day.
And so when it comes to like the tournament setup, I guess, I don't know if Ron and I were talking about this while we were there that day, but do you have a say in the setup of the golf course? Like, is that something that, like, I guess maybe not you specifically, but your team, after you look at like past results and you're trying to keep this thing at a certain number, let's say, for example, unless someone obviously gets super hot, but do you have a say in that aspect of it? Pin placements, tee boxes, yardage.
Yeah, but I don't have a big say in that. I mean, I certainly have built relationships with our rules and tournament, competition committee, and I've seen and learned things over the year. But at the end of the day, that's not my expertise. I'll say. I mean, our rules team is some of the best out there on tour, and I'll come up with some weird ideas of like, hey, why don't we put a Sunday pin placement right behind this, right behind this bunker, and let's get some excitement, and they'll quickly tell me either it can work or reason quickly why it can't work. So I leave that up to the professionals. But I mean, at the end of the day, whenever we go out and we look for new golf courses, and when I first put my eyes on Upper Montclair, you kind of take this like piece of clay and you say, how can we kind of create something here that is going to be very competitive, that's going to keep the pace of play up for our players, and it's going to be something that the fans are going to want to go out and watch, right? I mean, the USGA, the PGA of America, like they got their majors, they're going to dial it up, they're going to make it kind of, they're going to make it as tough as they can, right? But for us, the way that we look at it is we want to have a fair competition out there, and you start to kind of figure out, where your landing zones are, where your runoff areas are and everything. So when all that's taken into consideration, our rules and competition team, they do a great job of setting up a fair competition. And Listen, these are professional athletes, been playing golf their entire life, right? If one of them goes 10 or 11 under, then that's great. That's something fun for everybody to watch, because they've gotten in the zone, and they're at their peak performance. And I mean, that's what we wanted to see when Jordan was playing, right? That's what we wanted to see when LeBron and Kobe and them were playing in basketball. So I've quit. I don't work for the USGA, so I've quit trying to dial it back where even par is the winning score.
Is that your like, philosophically, would you rather them be able to just throw birdies left and right, or would you rather it be more US Open type, where like even par's got a chance of winning kind of thing?
Me personally, I don't have one way or the other, because I've been a part of kind of both, right? I've been a part where we played a resort course in Arizona that 28 under won it one year, right? Say Young Kim shot 11 under at final rounds. It was, but perfect conditions and perfect weather, and these players were on their game. So I'm a fan of 5 to 6 under after day one. You get to 10 or 11 on day two, and then you kind of let the, as you start to ramp up with the weekend, right? You got moving day on Saturday, like who's going to shoot 5, 6 under to kind of move up the leaderboard? Can the leaders, jump out and continue that pace that they set, or are they going to kind of, fall into that even 1 to 2 under range? And then I love it when we have anywhere between 10 and 12 players within 3 or 4 strokes to the lead on Sunday, because I think that's when you see some real good competition come out.
Yeah, I think I like that too. Like you said, 4 or 5 around, shooting 67, 68 for 4 days in a row. I think that you should be winning a tournament at that time. I think that's a good number there.
And if we talk a little bit about the golf course specifically, obviously, doing a little research, I saw that, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, but the tournament started in Arizona. It's made its way east when kind of Cognizant jumped in as the title sponsor, but it didn't initially start at Upper Montclair. It went to Mountain Ridge, if my research is correct, and if I'm wrong, please correct me. But now it's over to Upper Montclair, and Ryan and I can speak around. We never been out to Mountain Ridge, so we don't know what it's like. But stepping on the grounds of Upper Montclair, like between the driving range, between the practice facility, the little short game area, between the 27 holes, like we left there saying like, wow, that is a perfect spot. Like, talk a little bit about the Cognizant and coming east in terms of bringing it to New Jersey golf.
Yeah. You're right. I mean, the history, we started in Arizona, right? And that started in 2011 with our former commissioner, Mike Wan. And a little nugget about 2011, the players didn't play for a purse. It all went back to charity. So it was a way to honor the 13 years. But so Kari Webb won it in 2011 and didn't cash a check. Everything went back to.
I saw that. I was like, man, because when you look at your winners, like obviously being a golf junkie the way I am, like I look at all your winners from 2011 on, and I'm like, these are big time names. Like Kari Webb's won it twice, not just once. Like all the names on here, even Minjin Lee, who's now won 2 majors since. Like you've got big time names and big time participants playing in that tournament.
Yeah, you pinch yourself when you look at it. I mean, to be honest with you, because it's a who's who of either Hall of Famers or future Hall of Famers. I mean, Stacy Lua, Anna Norquist, Say Young Kim. I mean, Hooju Kim. I mean, the list goes on. And I think it's great that, I mean, Yanni Sen won it back in her heyday, right? So, I mean, you look at it, this thing is like, it's really been building over the years. And it's, I think that the meaning behind the tournament, what it stands for to the LPGA Tour, and then when you look at our past champions and where we're heading, and with Cognizant on board and a lot of other sponsors up in the Northeast right now that have really embraced this event because of the meaning behind it, right? I mean, it's a great golf tournament. It's played at a wonderful facility. Upper Montclair has hosted the LPGA back in the 80s, so they've hosted, all 3 major golf associations there, the champions of PGA and now the LPGA again. So I just, I think it was the perfect fit. We had a great time at Mountain Ridge. It was a phenomenal track. It's a great little hidden gem up there that a lot of people just don't really know about. It's one of those kind of tucked away clubs that just kind of they go about their business, and and it was a business decision to move from Arizona to New Jersey. A lot of that was COVID related, because we still wanted to keep playing in Arizona. We had built up a nice fan base out there, and Cognizant was fully on board with that. They wanted to buy into the Founders Cup. They didn't want to change things, right? But we couldn't play in the spring of 2021 because COVID restrictions were still in place. And so they were a new sponsor. And so we kind of said, okay, well, let's look at the schedule. And it became a business decision for us to move to the Northeast in the fall. And then once we got up there and we were close to their headquarters at Teaneck, New Jersey, then it just said, okay, well, this is where we need to be. This is where we want to be. And, coming from the tour side of things, the LPGA wasn't really in the Northeast at that time. I mean, it's, look how far we've come over 2 years where, you had the event in Seaview, then we came on board. You had the occasional major somewhere in the area, every now and then. But like at the end of the day, it was a big market for us. We're close to New York City. We're close to the epicenter of so many businesses, that it just made sense for us to stay. And then once we put our eyes on Upper Montclair, we knew we had a home, and we quickly did a 3-year deal with them to start to establish ourselves there.
So like an event like Seaview, that's not even getting New York City because it's so far south. So coming to Upper Montclair is certainly beneficial in that. How much thought? So you decide, make a business decision, like you said, to leave Mountain View and come to Upper Montclair. How much looking for courses were you? Like, did you say, we want Upper Montclair, let's go get it? Or is there a whiteboard that's got courses in the area? You got Baltusrol, you got Plainfield, you got Liberty National, you got all these really nice ones. And is there a feel out process, or what is that process like to find a course?
Yeah, it definitely is a feel out process. You start to, you got your wish list that you start, and you say, okay, and Plainfield was on there, Liberty was on there, Balti was on there. Because listen, our athletes are some of the best golfers in the world. They deserve to play on the best golf courses in the world. So yeah, we were dreaming big. And then you start to say, okay, well, where does all the other golf world fit into the schedule, right? So we knew we were going to be playing in the spring. So then you start reaching out, and people are like, well, we're already booked with this, and we can't do it because of that. So you get a lot of quick no's, to be honest with you, and then you get some that say, hey, you know what, this might be able to work. So then you start to kind of go through the process of really, especially the private clubs in the area. You could have the GM and the director of golf and everybody that really wants it, right? Because they want to showcase their property. They want to be able to like kind of present to the world and from not only from a national TV perspective, but international TV, to kind of show off their club. And then you got to go to the membership, and you got to get the buy-in, because when we come in, we take over for the week, right? We take it over. There is no access to the clubhouse. There's no, we take it all. So you kind of go through that feel out process. And then when you start to whittle that down and funnel down the 1, 2, or 3 clubs that A, work for your schedule, B, can work for your timing, work for and then finances play a big part in it too. So it was when we first reached out to Upper Montclair, it was a pretty quick, like, yeah, let's pursue this together and let's see what we can do. So I hopped on a plane pretty quick with Cognizant, and we went up there. We got to play it. We got to experience the clubhouse and meet some membership and meet the board and really got a good feel for it. And when we left there that day, we were like, we found it.
Wow.
And so we got it done pretty quick.
That's nice. When you go to a place and it's like picking a college. You just, when you get there and you're like, this is where I want to be. This is where we need to be. This is,
Yeah.
That's great.
I think them having 27 holes helps too, right? Because then,
For sure.
I said, you can take that you can mold it to how you want it, and they had some recommendations, and then we brought in our rules and competition, and they had some recommendations, hospitality plays a big part of it. You guys obviously saw, some of the hospitality builds out there. So you got to figure out, okay, where do we build? How do we maximize the space? So there's a lot to go into it, and I've learned a lot over my 8 years at the tour, and I'm still learning. But it's a fun process to go through.
Scott, why don't you talk to us a little bit about what the Founders Cup is and kind of how it came to be and that sort of thing.
Yeah. So, I mean, the Founders Cup was started back in 2011 by Mike Wan, former commissioner, now head of the USGA. And really Mike, when he became commissioner, he saw that our 13 founders were we were getting, we only had a couple of surviving members from that original 13. And so it was Mike's vision to say, how can we really start to honor where the tour started back in 1950? The LPGA is the longest running women's sports organization in the world, and we're celebrating 73 years now. So it was a great idea back in 2011, and it was something that kind of picked up some steam, and he got a lot of player support from it too. It's like, a lot of people didn't know who Shirley Spork and Marilyn Smith and Louise Suggs, and they just didn't know the history of the LPGA. I mean, we had one of the greatest female athletes of ever, Babe Zaharis, that was one of our founders, and Olympic athlete, professional golfer. I mean, she kind of did it all back in the day. So I think that collection of 13 women, their story needed to be told. And it needed to be preserved, and it needed that the next generation of LPGA professionals and LPGA fans and just the group that was there to support women's sport needed to understand what that story and how important it is to not only like Title IX issues and where women's sports are going in the world now. So I think it was something that really caught on very quickly. And and like I mentioned before, they played for no purse. There was a donation back to the girls golf, our LPGA Foundation, girls golf chapters, to be able to kind of support and grow that next generation of female golfers. So, a tagline that we use all the time is for Founders Cup is past, present, and future. We're celebrating the past, the 13 women and all the pioneers, Nancy Lopez, Betsy King, Patty Sheehan. I mean, you could go on and on and on, right? From 60s, 70s, 80s that really took the tour and kind of ran with it and did what they did. And then you look at today's, generation of players, and I mean, they're some of the best athletes in the world. They're entrepreneurs, they're moms, they're philanthropists. I mean, they kind of do it all, right? And then you got the future with that LPGA USGA girls golf program. So really, that's what the Cognizant Founders Cup is all about. We're celebrating those 3 generations of female golf and really telling the story through the LPGA and through this one special week on tour.
I didn't know much about it, and then going to the media day, hearing about it, understanding it's a great cause, a great event. It's really a special thing you guys got going on with it, for sure.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, listen, you're not the first either. When I interviewed for the job, I was like, I don't even know. I didn't know about the 13 founders. I didn't know, so it's been a learning process over the last 8 years. And I remember meeting Marilyn Smith and Shirley Spork back in 2015 when I first started, and just so much energy in their, they were in their like early to late 80s, and just so much energy, so much passion. And I just sat down and started listening, and they were telling stories about the struggles they had to get the tour started, how they used to all caravan from town to town. And, they did it all. They set up the golf course. They did their own marketing. They did their own PR. They would go to boxing matches and try to get people to come out and see them play golf. It's just such a cool story. And the more and more that I'm part of this organization, the more and more I want to kind of keep preserving it.
Yeah, that's really special. Why didn't they just email it out to people or tweet it out there? I don't understand how that was.
Right. That's it's funny because that's what Marilyn goes. I asked her. I said, "Could you imagine having social media back in 1950? Like, where would the tour be right now?" And she was like, "What's social media?" She still had no idea. So.
Oh, that's good.
That's crazy. And then so when it gets into Cognizant and them jumping in and And I know a lot of the things that, in terms of like the world we live in, it's money driven, and finding sponsors that are willing to jump in and put up a purse that's meaningful and draws a lot of attention. And looking at like what they've done since they've jumped on board in 2021, I think kind of sets the tone and more or less puts pressure on other tournaments to kind of match what they're doing. Can you speak a little bit about Cognizant, how they jumped in like that?
Yeah, from the first conversation with those guys, their mindset and their mission and objective was in the right place, and they saw an opportunity to be able to try to make change, right? And they wanted to be at the forefront of that. So I give all the kudos to their team, because from day one they said, listen, we're not in this to, we're in this to level the playing field. We're in this we have the resources to be able to have your athletes play for more money, and for us to be able to support LPGA, USGA girls golf programs, and to be able to help the LPGA continue that mission. So I just say they talk the talk and they walk the walk, and they've done it since day one. It's a great organization to work with, to partner with. They come to us with all these ideas, and they want to be able to try to enhance not only the purse, but they want to enhance the player experience during the week. They're like, what can we do? Like I have never worked with a sponsor that comes to me throughout the year all the time and says, what more can we do? Can we do this? Can we do that? And like, so it's just been it's really been a really fun partnership. It's been a really good group to be able to get to know. They obviously have other interests, and they support golf as a big platform for them, and they see that a lot of people within their networks, that it gives them a good opportunity to be able to host and entertain and do business on site at golf tournaments. I'm just proud that we've been able to achieve and be able to help them achieve their goals, just as much as they've been able to help us, continue our path.
Yeah, I see that, because I obviously, when you look at things on the LPGA Tour, like, and even sometimes women's sports in general, like I have two little daughters too that are heavily involved in sports, and, you kind of can see that, on the money side of things, it doesn't always compare, but it's nice to see a company like Cognizant jump in and dig deeper and say to other sponsors, like, I dare you to match me. And then they start to do that, and just makes the product even better.
It absolutely. And we've seen that over the last, 7 to 8, 10 years. KPMG, Dow, Aon. I mean, there's so many groups that are like, it's there's some businesses out there, this is just my personal opinion, but there's some businesses out there where they could fund an LPGA purse as a rounding error. I mean, they really could, and so, but it's really great when companies like that step up, and they did their homework before. They had a mission, and they said, this is what we want to do, but you know what? It's not all about us. It's about partnering and kind of doing this together. So I give them all the kudos in the world, and you know what? I don't think they're going to stop anytime soon either. We've had 2 very special tournament weeks. I know we're going to have another one in 2 weeks from now, and it's just going to continue to grow and get bigger and bigger.
Do you see now, obviously with it being at Upper Montclair, and correct me again if I'm wrong, but this is the final year of the 3-year deal at Upper Montclair, is that correct?
No, we have one more after this year. 24
one more
after
this
final year.
Okay, gotcha. And do you see, like, is there talks about extending that to keep it at Upper Montclair, or is there eyes on other spots? Or is that not allowed to be said?
I think I think there's going to be ongoing conversations here over the next, let's say, month as we come out of this. It's always good to, when you got 1 year left on your deals, it's always good to start talking about it a year out, right? You don't want to put too much pressure on anybody, but I think with the feedback that we've received, the membership is fully supportive, and it's just, we're kind of getting into a good groove after year 1 at Upper Montclair. So, if I had my choice, then we would continue to build there, because I think it's just the perfect facility for us in that market. It's very close to just so much in that, in that just Northeast region, right? That tri-state area, that the more that we can be established in one location, the bigger the fan base is going to grow, the bigger the corporate sponsorship base is going to grow. And at that point, everybody wins.
Yeah, it is a great location. You're right on Route 3 there, right out of the tunnel from the city. That is a perfect location as far as that all concerns.
Yeah.
So I kind of want to dive a little bit, and I promise not to keep you too long. But I want to talk a little bit about like the sponsors exemption, because I think when I saw Katie there, I kind of didn't, being involved in high school golf on both the boys and the girls side, especially in the state of New Jersey, a lot of the very good players from present and past. And I see her there, and I didn't know what the connection was with her. But then when I hear that, she's receiving a sponsors exemption to play, you're talking about a phenomenal girls golfer in the state of New Jersey, NJSGA reigning player of the year, heads out to the Big Ten to play at Michigan. Talk a little bit about how a girl like Katie Lou ends up with a phenomenal opportunity in front of her like this.
Yeah, no, it all leads back to Cognizant, because when we sat down and, we went through, we said, okay, you get 2 sponsor exemptions every year. And really they wanted to learn more and more about like, okay, well, how do others do it? What is the normal process? And they really kind of dug in deep, and they took back they took some feedback that we gave them. And, we told them, like, some title sponsors like to give, some tour players that maybe are kind of, maybe just need another shot, right? To kind of, maybe they're going to have a breakout week. And then you got some local, how do you tie it in? How do you build in, someone local, right? To try to maybe generate a little more ticket sales or a little more of a PR story. So, when Cognizant came back to us and said, okay, we think we devised a plan of how we want to do this. First and foremost, they said, we want them to earn it. And I said, without a doubt, that's the perfect way to go, right? So they want to award these sponsor exemptions to amateurs or some others that maybe never would have an opportunity to be able to showcase their skills, and then how they've earned it at that point. So, we've done a couple of different iterations over the last, this is now the 3rd playing of the Cognizant Founders Cup with them. In 2021, Jensen Castle, the USGA women's amateur champion, got in. That was a fall event. She had won that. Last year, Anna Davis, who won the ANWA, the Augusta National Women's Amateur event, received a sponsor invite and accepted. And then, this year, we did look at some other, it's the Augusta National Women's Amateur and some other things. But this year it just made sense for us to go with a local junior that has really earned it both on and off the golf course. And Katie's name was the first one that came up. I mean, like you said, reigning player of the year for the New Jersey State Golf Association, the women's amateur champion, just a standout at Michigan State, and she's even better in the classroom with a 3.9 GPA, Dean's List, and everything else. So she's got a bright future. And I think as she told everybody in that room that day, that she has a goal to play professional golf. So what better way for her to like be able to step into the arena, so to speak, as a sophomore at Michigan State, get some reps, and then kind of see and kind of take an evaluation of where her game is. And that just fits what Cognizant really wanted to do when they set out to give their sponsor exemptions. And, that's just one piece of it. The other piece is they decided to sponsor the John Shippen Cognizant Cup. And so that's where deserving African-American females that normally wouldn't have an opportunity, the John Shippen has now come about, and they're going to, compete at Upper Montclair on Monday for the other sponsor exemption. So, like I said, they talk the talk and they walk the walk, and our 2 sponsor exemptions this year are a shining example of that.
Yeah, no doubt. I thought that they hit that out of the park.
Absolute home run.
Not only Katie, with Katie Lou, and then the Monday qualifier, like you hear the talk about people, in my eyes, doing the right thing. But then when the actions follow suit, it's like, man, did you guys get so lucky landing a company like Cognizant that does it all? That, I mean, it's really perfect.
Yeah, they're very thoughtful in in every step that they take. They don't do anything to rush. They really think through it, and they really they seek out the opinions and kind of they consult with a lot of different groups before they really move on a decision. And it's just I mean I think that kind of fits within their business model as well, right? I mean they're technology solutions for Fortune 500, Fortune 200 companies. And so they're doing the right thing, and I think they took that trait from their business side and took it over to the sports sponsorship side, and it's so far it's a home run.
Yeah, absolutely. Scott, where can people buy tickets? Can they get involved still? Is there volunteer opportunities? Sell it a little bit on that end for us that we can kind of promote it for you guys.
Yeah, we're pretty well closed on volunteers, but we could take a couple last second ones if we did. But if you go to founderscup.com, all the information is there for you, all the ticket opportunities. We still have some hospitality ticket sales out there. We've got daily, we got weeklies. One of the cool things that you see at all the LPGA events and some other golf tournaments as well is juniors 17 and under get in free with a paid adult. So, for me, kind of like you, I'm raising two daughters. Like I could buy, a ticket for my wife and I, and then we can bring our daughters along to go have a fun day out of the golf course. So, we try to make our ticket prices very approachable. We don't want to, we want everybody to come in. We want to be as inclusive as possible. And we've got some different opportunities. So if you want to come in and you want to get a 24-person suite to be able to host and entertain some clients on a day, we've got a couple of those left. If you and some buddies want to grab some tickets to our Pioneer Pavilion where, you can come and hang out and the drinks are flowing, the food's good. And we got, the Pioneer Pavilion, you actually can watch 2 greens and 2 tees from the little perch that you're on. So, I mean, it's we got a lot of different options for everybody.
And as you said, that's what you're trying to get. You're trying to get, the family, kids come in free. You get something for the corporate sponsors, something for the guys that are looking to, get a little more rowdy than an outside of the family. So that's great. Excellent stuff.
Yeah. And then, and also too, on Saturday, we're going to have our junior clinics. So we're going to have the USGA, we're going to have the New Jersey Golf Foundation. We're going to have our girls golf national chapter team and the local chapter team come out there. So, and then we also have our LPGA professionals that are going to be doing a free 10-minute lesson on site. So Saturday is the day to come out without a doubt. And we're going to play until 7 p.m. on Saturday. So you can come out, you can hang out with us all day. The kids can run around and do the junior clinics. The mom and dad can jump over and get a 10-minute lesson from an LPGA professional. Oh, by the way, you can go hop on the golf course and watch, some of the best players in the world play. And, we've got all these little spots that you can grab something to drink and eat and hang out. And so we're just trying to make it where it's a fun and engaging time for everybody as soon as you step on site.
Yeah. And like you said, the benefits of having 27, that you can spread things like that out. That's good. Obviously, we're a New Jersey golf podcast, so I'm going to ask it nationally as well. But where in New Jersey? You come here, you trying to get out anywhere specific, or is there somewhere that kind of you hold in nice regard there?
Yeah, I haven't been able to play a lot of golf outside of Mountain Ridge and Upper Montclair, to be honest with you. But my short list is Sleepy Hollow, Bayonne. I definitely want to get out and play Liberty at some point. I mean, Baltusrol is definitely, there's so many good golf courses up there. I mean, it's like when I started doing my research when we were moving from Arizona, man, you guys are flush with golf courses up there. And there's so many that have so much history and, to them. I mean, there's been so many just great golf tournaments. And then there's hidden gems like a Mountain Ridge where you just don't know about, but then you walk on property and you're like, whoa, this is really good. So I grew up in Atlanta. I grew up down south, and I didn't get to grow up in the country club world, but man, when I step on some of those properties up there, you can just feel the history. You walk through the clubhouses. It's a gold mine for golf, and I got to start spending more time in New Jersey.
You really do. Mike and I talk about it often that, like, yes, you have Plainfield and Balti and Bayonne and Liberty, and you, like, without taking a breath, you could name 8 top golf courses. But then there's also so many others, like you said, like Mountain Ridge, where it's tucked away and there's so many other great ones that are never mentioned in those breaths that are just so good. Like Mike got to play last year, and I love it too. The rigid backbrook is an amazing one. There's just so many of those that just like like that's just as good as this, and just there's New Jersey. We have.
I mean, you could keep going. You got Somerset Hills.
Yep.
Canoe Brook. Like we literally could go up the East Coast down to the south to the west and be like, well, I mean, we literally could have this anywhere.
Right, yeah,
I mean, Galloway National all the way down.
I was just thinking around Upper Montclair, like trying to stay north. So.
It's crazy.
What about
it is crazy.
What about nationally? You got one that when you're in an area you like to try to hit that kind of, maybe use some muscle. Hey, I work for the LPGA. Can I get a tie? Is there one nationally that you like more than hits home to you more?
It's a layup, but I mean, Bandon to me was the first time I got to go up to Bandon Dunes was a pretty much a religious experience, to be honest with you. I haven't had that much fun in 4 days in a long time. But the one course that I haven't been able to play yet, and I'm like I said, I'm an Atlanta guy. I go to Hilton Head, and I used to when we lived on the East Coast. I want to play Kiowa Island, so I think next time I get back to the state of South Carolina, I want to try to sneak over to Kiowa. I haven't been able to play Pebble yet. There's just so many good golf courses that I want to get out on. But I always say, when I hang up this tournament director business, maybe I'll still have some ins and some contacts, and maybe I can start playing golf for a while.
Did you do Bandon as like a buddies trip? Did you do a family? Was there an event there that I missed? What was up at Bandon?
No, it was just four guys, celebrating, some birthdays and just. It was a good way to just kind of disconnect, and we got to play all the clubs and just kind of bounced around and went to Punch Bowl in the evenings and just, I mean, it's my daughters say Disneyland is their happy place. Well, Bandon Dunes is my happy place. So
okay, yeah, not that I looked seriously into going, but you like fly in and then it's still like a 2-hour drive, right? Am I not like it's in the middle of nowhere? Like it's tough to get to.
But it's worth it. It's worth it.
That's what everybody says.
We flew into Portland and then went and played Edgewater where the LPGA Tour plays. So we kind of kicked it off. We landed, we went out and we got 18 in, and then we drove out there. And then, we got there pitch black dark. And then when you wake up the next morning and it's just there's something special about it. And you're on the coast and you're just away from everything. Like, so it's just, it's a special place.
Awesome. My last question, I usually ask, people we have on like that are playing competition golf, what are their superstitions? Like, do you have to have 2 tees in a pocket or anything like that? And you can feel free to answer that if you want to, but quite frankly, probably no one cares because you're not very a competitive golfer. But is there something that you do like leading into a tournament, like Thursday morning, this tournament's going to start? Is there something you did Wednesday night or Thursday morning that you're going to be like, okay, this tournament's going to kick off the right way? Or is there something that you do there?
I'm always on the first tee for the first tee ball on Thursday. That's my thing. It's like I want to be on there. I want to see the first group that goes off. I want to just kind of take it all in. It's usually 7:05 in the morning. Sun's just creeping up. The golf course is pristine, and it's just kind of that it's that calm before the storm. And that's one of the things that I like to do is Thursday morning. I always like to hit up the first tee, watch the first group go off number one. And that just kind of in my mind said, okay, like, the parties are over. It's now into competition, and let's see how this plays out over the next 4 days. Kind of,
we're off. Like the buzzer at the track is just the gates are open. We're going.
Yeah,
I love it.
My last question is I can get sometimes caught up being such a fanboy of everybody. Like I see certain people, and I'm like, dude, by the way, that's so and so. Like, and being someone in your position where you see these amazing athletes so often, do you ever catch yourself and be like, my, oh my, there goes Nelly Korda, like the best golfer? Like, do things like that ever like something ever pinch you and be like, wow, like, can you really believe like this is my job?
Yeah. It happens a lot. I mean, we obviously are able to keep the professional, mentality of it of we're here to do a job and we're going that way.
For sure.
But to me, and Mike, you probably share this same thing. I mean, like, I'm just raising two daughters, so whenever they come and they spend time at a tournament with me, my youngest is named Alexis. She goes by Lexi, so Lexi Thompson is her favorite player. So I have tons of photos that Lexi will graciously take with my daughter, and I've never seen my youngest daughter light up more than that. So to me, that's the cool thing about it. And it's cool to get to know like the families and the parents, like the Hendersons, and Brooke and her sister that are out there. And then I got to meet her parents when Brooke was just coming on tour, and and you're there to help. You're there to also to realize that, look, this is a job for them, and this we're all in this together. And so it is. I mean, I've worked events over in Korea, and I got to see how the fandom for women's golf over in Korea. I mean, the Korean athletes are more popular than the men over in Korea, and they're so like they're it's just such an insane thing to see. And when you're kind of like, you're in that position, right? And you're like, I mean, there's so many people that would love to be able to like be standing next to MB or So Yun or NG Chun or something like that. Like, yeah, you kind of just say, this is super cool. And, and like I said, I just feel very fortunate that I get to do what I do. And I wake up every day just excited to go to work and kind of see how we can keep this train going.
That's amazing. Yeah, it really is. It's nice to hear that they're open and willing to help you out on a personal level too, to take a picture like that, because it just makes the experience for not only, your daughters, but everybody, a full one.
Yeah.
It seems like they're willing and more than willing to go the extra mile at those events from what I've seen, take pictures, to shake hands, to do all that kind of stuff. I think that's definitely something the LPGA has over the PGA as far as their members. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, some of the most approachable athletes you'll ever come across, and I've had the fortune of being around a lot of different athletes, just being in sports marketing for 20 plus years, and by far this group is just, they get it, and they understand that they could sign an autograph for a young girl that could just turn them into the next golf fiend, right? It's like they can't get enough of the range, they can't get enough of this, and it's just so it is a really cool story, and that happens across the board, but it's just, we get to see it up close and personal, and that's really special to me. I
can't thank you enough for giving us some time tonight, and I can't thank you enough for inviting us to Media Day. I can't lie, we were two nervous people having no clue really what to do, what to say, where to stand. But everybody there welcomed us with open arms.
It was incredible.
As if we were somebody. And we know at the end of the day, we're just two guys that want to play, talk golf, and experience all things golf in the Garden State. So, I just want to personally thank you for the invite out there.
Yeah, I'm glad you came, and Ryan, obviously, you had one of the questions of the, for Katie, with your education background.
Yeah.
So, that's what it's all about. Is I mean, you guys have a platform, you got a great thing going here. I wish you continued success, and just very appreciative that you wanted to hear me tell my story. So, not a lot of people want to hear it, so I appreciate it.
Yeah, Scott, this was awesome. It was a pleasure meeting you, hanging out afterwards, and getting to see and experience all that. Again, as Mike said, we're just two guys, but it was really a special day for us. So really, thank you.
Yeah, same here. I mean, we couldn't have asked for a better day on and off the golf course on Tuesday. So, and hey, listen, let's take that weather. Let's roll it into the week of May 8th through the 14th out at Upper Montclair, and plenty of tickets still available. We don't, that's a good thing about golf tournaments, right? We don't really sell out. So, so keep coming, but no, we're excited to be back. We've got a stellar field. And I think the product that is on the golf course and the enhancements that we made off the golf course, I think everybody's going to really enjoy it this year.
Terrific. Awesome. Thanks, Scott. Appreciate it. Good luck with everything.
All right, guys. Take care. Thank you.
Thanks, Scott.
All right. Bye-bye.
See you, buddy.